So living cells have to be provided with nutrients, oxygen, as well as other essential substances for their survival. And also there will be waste or harmful substances that would be produced that needs to be removed so that the cells, tissues present in that organ can function properly and have so that there can be proper maintenance of the cell structures. But how will these nutrients, oxygen be provided from one place to the other, as well as how will this waste products be removed? So there needs to be proper efficient mechanisms for the movement of these substances to the cells and from the cells, that is towards the cells, for the oxygen, nutrients, and from away the cells, that's the waste or harmful substances that needs to be taken away from the cells. So there must be proper life processes and a proper ways so that these substances could be circulated from one place to the other. So therefore organisms need circulatory systems for movement of these substances towards the cell and from away the cell, so that there can be healthy functioning of the cells or the tissues. Then if we start with we have different groups of animals. It could be invertebrates or vertebrates. Invertebrates, we have reptiles, birds, mammals, so many different kinds of animals. And invertebrates, we have the organisms that are present in the lower level, which have a lower level of organizations. We don't have proper organ systems. They are made up of either cells or tissues. So they have simple level of cells or tissues. They don't have any complex structures. While talking about the higher classes of animals, their life processes are complex because they have complex tissues, organs, which are not simple. So therefore they need to have much more efficient and better systems to carry out their complex life processes. So there would be a difference between these systems which is present in the invertebrates in comparison to the vertebrates, that is animals. So talking about the simple organisms wouldn't need much complex mechanisms to carry out their function. So like for example, in simple organisms there are sponges, cylindrids, which would use just water in their body for circulating or transporting the substances inside their cell and outside their cell. Like they are present in any surrounding and they have water in the surrounding. If they need any nutrient, that will be taken through water inside their cell, and if any waste products needs to be excreted, that will be excreted with the help of water in the surrounding. That's in cases of these simple organisms which have simple structures and cells. But in case of like mammals or animals, it's not that easy because they have complex structures. So they need much more better systems or mechanisms to carry out this exchange of the materials. So they need complex organisms would need special fluids within their bodies to transport such materials within their cells and outside their cells. Now, what are these special body fluids present inside the animals or mammals? The main component is blood. Blood is most commonly used body fluid by most of the high organisms, including humans, for this purpose. And then another body fluid is lymph, which also helps in the transport of certain substances. This is a small diagram showing that how blood is traveling from the heart towards the tissues where the capillaries are present, and when there is exchange of materials that is taking place. So the cells will need amino acids, glucose, water, oxygen, while the CO2 which is formed, which is not required by the cell, it will be taken as a waste product inside the blood, and it will go back to the heart and towards the lungs for purification. So this is the exchange of nutrients or the materials that is taking place. It is happening because the blood is being circulated from one place to the other, towards the cells, towards the tissues, through the organs, is because of the circulation of the blood. So blood is carrying all these material substances along with, it's present in the blood, it's dissolved in the blood. So while the blood is traveling, all these substances are also traveling. Then what is actually blood? We have to define blood, it's a special connective tissue. It's a connective tissue because it's present throughout the body. It's present in each and every cell, in each and every part of the body, throughout the body. If there is an injury taking place in one place, there will be transport of blood at that place, and the same thing will happen for the rest of the body structures as well. The blood will be immediately transported over there. So it's present throughout the body. So it's a kind of a connective tissue, but what it is mainly comprised of, it is in the form of a fluid. So the matrix of the blood is mainly in the form of a fluid. So there is fluid in which there are substances or materials present in it, embedded in it. They are suspended in this fluid. All the cells which are there in the blood, they are suspended in a fluid form, in a kind of a liquid state. They are all suspended or embedded in this fluid. So the matrix is a fluid matrix in which there is plasma as well as there are formed elements. Like here it can be seen that there is this fluid. In this there are all cells which are present. So there is the matrix that is of fluid. There is a fluid matrix. Now blood has, the components of blood would be plasma and the formed elements. So what is this plasma? Plasma is actually straw colored. Straw colored means it would be pale yellow. Viscous means it will be dense. Like for example, honey is a viscous fluid, and this plasma consists 55%, is nearly 55% of the blood. So blood will have 55% would be the plasma, and the remaining would be the formed elements inside the blood. Then 90 to 92% of the plasma is water. So talking only about plasma, 90 to 90% of the plasma would be containing only water, and the remaining 6 to 8% would be proteins. Now what are these proteins that are present in the plasma? The proteins that are present, the major proteins that are present in the plasma are actually fibrinogen, globulins and albumins. Let's study these proteins. Fibrinogens are the ones that help in clotting of the blood. If there is a wound, then the blood shouldn't be bleeding continuously. If there is no clotting of blood, there will be excessive loss of blood. So clotting or coagulation is important, and which protein helps in this? That's fibrinogen. Then for a defense system, that is the immune system. In immune system, if there is entry of any antigen or a pathogen, then there are antibodies generated against these antigens. Where do they come from? They are actually nothing but the globulins. These globulins are the antibodies. We can also call them immunoglobulins. Then the next protein is albumins. They help in osmotic balance. They help in maintaining the osmotic balance. Otherwise, if there is tissue present over here and there is fluid over here and there is blood vessel over here and there is blood, the water, the fluid content in the blood shouldn't be coming out excessively outside, and neither should the fluid from the tissue flow inside. So there needs to be a proper osmotic pressure that needs to be maintained between the blood vessel and the surrounding tissue. So that kind of osmotic balance is being maintained by this albumin. Then the plasma also contains small amount of minerals, where sodium, calcium, magnesium, or bicarbonate, chloride. They carbonate, chloride and bicarbonate would be seen playing role in the respiratory system in the chloride bicarbonate exchange. Then calcium would help in the carrying out the nerve impulses. Sodium would again be helpful in maintaining the pH of the blood found in the cells, to maintain the pH, proper concentration of the salt, proper balance of the salt solutes present in the cells. Then the other components, glucose, amino acids and lipids, they are also required for the proper functioning. They are the basic biomolecules required by the cells, so that they can be energy produced, and the various structures that are needed by a cell that can be formed. They are also present in the plasma. So the factors of the coagulation of blood, clotting of the blood, are also present in the plasma in the inactive form. That's the platelets. Then that's the fibrinogens or platelets. Then plasma without the clotting factors is called a serum. Means what is serum? If plasma is taken from the blood, just the plasma part, and the clotting factors are removed from them. Clotting factors are removed from them, means plasma minus the clotting factors. Clotting factors would give the, that will be called as serum if no clotting factors are present inside the blood. Next, now what are these formed elements? Like in blood we had plasma and formed elements. We studied about the plasma. Now coming to the formed elements. So what are these formed elements? Formed elements are known as formed elements because they are continuously being formed inside the bone marrow. These formed elements are continuously formed inside the bone marrow, and therefore they are known as formed elements. And inside the blood, when the components of the blood is separated, they settle down. RBCs would settle down, and then we would have the leukocytes and the lymphocytes. So they would be settling down in the during the separation of the components of the blood. What are these formed elements? They are erythrocytes, that is RBCs, leukocytes, and platelets. The first is the erythrocytes, second is the leukocytes, third is the platelets. They are all called the formed elements, and they form 45% of the blood. So blood has plasma, and 45% of it would be the formed elements. These formed elements are continuously made inside the bone. There are hematopoietic stem cells which help in the formation of these formed elements continuously throughout the lifespan. Next, so this is how the different components of the blood, if there is centrifugation that is carried out, these different layers will be seen, where the below layer, the ones which is the erythrocytes, would be much more dense, therefore they have settled below. So it is 45% of the total blood, the erythrocytes. Then the layer above it, which is white in color, buffy coat, it consists of the leukocytes and the platelets. Then the above layer, that is the plasma, which is almost 55% of the total blood. So these are the RBCs, then leukocytes and platelets, which are nothing but also known as the WBCs or the platelets. Plasma is the 55% of the total blood. It constitutes water, solutes, which is electrolytes, nutrients, waste, and other substances. Then the plasma proteins are what? The albumins, immunoglobulins, which are the antibodies, clotting factors. So this was the composition and the properties of the blood.